right, welcome to the House of Petty.
Hey y'all.
Yeah, so of course you guys know me, Mike Brooklyn. You got
Latria Brooklyn. Hey,
and new member of the House of Petty, Jeanette.
Hi.
And Alicia.
And Alicia making a guest appearance from California.
Yeah.
How you doing?
How you doing? Coming all the way from Malibu.
Malibu.
Yeah.
Malibu's most wanted.
With San Diego.
San Diego most likely. We can't afford Malibu.
I ain't gonna lie, Malibu's most wanted was one of my favorite comedy movies of all time.
What's his name? Jamie Kennedy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Was he's from Mallorca, right? Mallorca? I think he is.
Shit, I don't know. I'll probably have to look him up later, but hell, that movie was funny as hell, especially with Regina Hall and Anthony Anderson.
Oh, yeah. They did start together.
Mm-hmm. And Tay Diggs.
What was this movie?
Oh,
Was this,
yeah.
a long time ago?
Yeah, like 2000s.
Oh, no wonder. I wasn't born yet.
Okay, you're still a fetus.
Yeah.
Not born yet.
She's 21.
Well, my mind wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
I still don't even remember anything.
Okay.
Yep. But what we're gonna get into today is transphobes and their DL behavior. So, just an example, the other day there was a post online that said, you know, trans girls are girls and everything like that. And
I saw it and I posted it, and some DL fucknut decides to comment and says, "No, the fuck they're not." I had to double take, like, what the hell?
Turns out I had at least 14 mutual friends, all of them being trans women. I believe you had how many mutual friends?
Shit, I didn't even remember. I didn't even care to look.
Yeah, I know.
I just knew that we all had mutual friends with that person.
Yeah, I know a couple of our friends online that are women of trans experience had about 46 mutual friends, all trans women.
Mm.
So, how do you say trans women are not women in any way if you're following and friends with trans women? Like,
Yeah. When I was getting the backstory
Exactly.
of it, that you guys have all these mutual friends, and you guys have, you know, your community. I feel like he was just trying to stir up a reaction. Like that's how I perceived it.
Yeah.
Like he's just kind of trolling. He just knows that he's gonna round up reactions, but he doesn't know that you guys are all like really tight, close, and you guys pretty much distract him.
Yeah. Like y'all were there with me when it happened.
Yeah.
Was when I looked at my phone, I was like, "Oh hell no!"
That's just like how I see that behavior. It's just him trolling, just him trying to stir up a reaction. Because it's the internet. People on the internet can say what they want, but like if they're in person, they're not gonna say this to you. They always say this behind the keyboard,
Right.
monitor, say this to your face. Because I don't know why they have courage online to say these things, but not in person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
because they feel like they won't be seen in person. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this person's all the way over there, blah, blah, you know. But it's like, at the same time, you're saying that, and then you got people coming on there letting you know they have receipts of you being like all up in their inbox.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you think it might be something about self-hating himself?
I believe so.
Maybe like something about the mindset he is friends with all these trans women, but at the end of the day, he kind of has hateful views inside of him. But he tried to like back off from it by going into your inbox, right, and telling you that, oh, I was just joking.
Or maybe like even like he probably had an experience where like he got turned down and he's just taking his hate.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could also be the fact that some people come from families where there's so much homophobia and transphobia in the household that it's like once they get older and they realize what their attraction is, it's like, oh, but wait, this is supposed to be bad. This is
Right.
not, yeah, so it's like they start getting in their own heads like, oh, you know, I should say this, so that's why I distance myself from the situation completely. When in reality, like you can't distance yourself from people that you're following.
Exactly.
You know, you're too busy trying to play catch up to them
Right.
to really remove yourself totally from the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, they'll be like, "Oh, this is bad. I should stay away." But we'll turn around. Will not only be in a girl's inbox, we'll be hooking up with that same girl.
Mhm.
I mean, one time, multiple times, different motel rooms,
Yeah.
all that shit.
I feel like online people kind of carry themselves differently than how they carry themselves in real life.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I feel like the online persona that they create is like something that like people, it's like they're not gonna know the real them.
Yeah, it's like a mask.
So you can have all these like friends that are trans, but it's just online. And maybe in real life, he kind of lives his regular day life in like the DL. So nobody knows.
Yeah. And I would say like the way he commented on it was kind of like the same aspect of like a teenager kind of poking on someone just to get their attention.
Yeah.
Because he's, oh, I like you, so I'm gonna like annoy you.
Yeah.
So maybe he was
Very
hitting on
childish.
you.
But like very like immature.
Like,
And like crossing the line of disrespect.
right. That's what I told him. And what pissed me off is that this guy comes in my inbox and was like, "You know what? I was just playing. You know what my page is about? We talked on the phone, blah, blah, blah. Let me find out you saw it." I was like, "Excuse me? Huh. I'm a lot of things, but soft ain't one. You can call me a bitch. You can call me an asshole. You can call me a twat. But soft? Oh, hell no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, well,
You can talk to a bitch that almost went to jail. Don't play with me. Do not play in my face."
what I found funnier also too was like he obviously has to know that like I'm your man or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Right, and then he tries commenting to me like, you know, "Oh, shut up." I'm like, when is that a response that's supposed to be significant? Like, I mean, like that for me, that's weak. I'm used to people saying a whole lot.
To
of
me
shit.
sounds like
Yeah.
that to me sounds like you're being sensitive. Oh, I gotta watch what I say around this person. If you're telling somebody they're sensitive because you're receiving backlash from the bullshit you started, you're basically saying, "How dare you not allow me to disrespect you or abuse you or walk all over you? Bitch, you don't take that shit on somewhere."
Yeah, but then also tries to say like, "Oh, I bet you sit down when you pee, punk." I'm like, okay, so now you're gonna try to come for my sexuality,
Right.
like he obviously has never seen my interactions online or whatever, because
Exactly.
like if I'm gonna come at you on like some reading level or whatever type shit, like I'm gonna go for the gusto. I'm gonna try to go for blood.
Right.
You know, so it's like, you know, for him to go ahead and try to do this, like, you know, okay, you're gonna cover my sexuality, okay, I'll be that. You know, so like
Right.
I just kept answering him in like butch queen terminology and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like,
Because that's what you're just, you know, in a sense, he's taunting the community, so we just taunt them.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, if you want to call me gay, then okay, I'll be gay. I'll go ahead. I'll respond to you in such a fashion. You know, like.
Yeah, I personally think he just sounds like a loser.
Right.
I mean, the fact that he's just wasting his time just trying to spew his hate, I guess, or even like play around with it.
Because we see this online everywhere. Like anybody that lives their truth openly online, they get so much hate from people online from other states that they just like to troll.
Yeah.
And they just like to stir up controversy.
And especially I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna say, especially on the trans side of the community, like we get it all the time. People just like trying to call us gay or this and that. So it's like, you know, if we're gonna hear it all the time, like, you know, like you're gonna just assume whatever we are. It's like, how do you expect us to not like how do you expect us to actually take you serious when it's like same bullshit, you know, over and over again? And it's like, yo, like if you're gonna come at us with any kind of insults, come at us original at least.
Exactly.
Instead of copying the next one and the next one and the next one, when obviously those insults never work.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
hate. Like it's just hate. Like,
and the crazy thing is, it's funny how society associates everything in the community as gay.
Yeah,
Like
that's not-
they're not even trying to educate themselves. They just think everything is gay.
Well, the same thing when back in my day when I was in high school, and I had peers that would say, instead of expanding the vocabulary,
Mhm.
like saying that's dumb or this is uncool, they would say that that's gay, and they would kind of associate gay with like anything negative. And so people like in that time were kind of just saying like gay, like whatever, like that's dumb. When I'm like, you just expand your vocabulary and say that's dumb.
All right, I grew up during that time where it was everybody's like, "Yo, why you doing that gay shit?" Son?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just like, what is homosexual about this?
Right.
Which that's the thing. Nothing would have been homosexual about the situation. It's
Yeah.
just they were using the term gay as like saying, "Oh, that's dumb, that's stupid, that's this,"
Yeah.
and not realizing that okay, you're taking a whole community and associating them with a negative title.
And I think that's kind of happening right now. What they're saying,
Right.
women, trans women are not women. And it's like we've gone past this that they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me of this commercial that I've seen with Wanda Sykes, where the little white boy was like, "Hey, that's so gay," and Wanda Sykes was like, "How would you feel if somebody said that's so ugly ass 16-year-old with braces?"
Yeah.
I like that.
And she was at the end of it, she was like, "When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off."
I agree with that totally.
Like if somebody refers to what I do as like as gay, like, "Oh, that's so gay," I could say, "That's so lame ass broke nigga that's staying with his mama."
All right, so when it comes to these DL fuck nuts and everything like that, I'm thinking, how about each one of you explain probably your weirdest or funniest experience with a DL person, whether it be in the inbox or in person or everything.
I'm still in them.
This one's still in the world of
because the DLs usually want trans women that are living their truth, that are already like passable, that are like pretty much just passable. But these women are not attracted to that because they want a man that's got their life together who is trans amorous and is living their life openly that they date trans women. So these men don't want to be seen with somebody that's not passing. And I feel, to me in my experiences, that like most of these guys kind of they do like drop in my DMs. And for me, because I'm getting attention, it's kind of where I like the attention of like, oh, like they're, I'm getting attention. So then I usually fall for them, but I kind of do want to break the cycle of not falling for them because it's not doing anything for the community. It's just kind of like we're still kind of in like the secret, like hidden, like they don't want to be seen with me in public, but they want to be.
They want to deal with you in private.
Yeah.
But you'd rather be seen in public with
Yeah.
If a man can't be seen in public with you, he ain't a man at all. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. Because judging from my last relationship, he was a functional DL dude, and mind you, he pretended to be trans amorous because he had a lot of trans girls on his page. He basically took my choice from me once I actually gave him a chance anyway. And the only time we seen each other was at night or in a hotel room or in the basement of his mama's house. We only went out on one little cheap ass date, and it was a casino.
So I think that's with the same situation of that guy who said that comment. He just has trans girls as friends to make you believe that like he is part of the community.
You gotta watch out for them.
But
Definitely.
It's probably like living a secret life.
Exactly.
In the personal life. So I think
They-
that's just the situation.
Those are functioning DL men. They will take you out anywhere as long as nobody that they know sees y'all together.
And it's always going to be in an area far away from where they are.
And I would say like a lot of the trans women out there, they kind of become complacent with these men at least because they kind of get love from them in some way or form. And like clearly their family has disowned them or at some point, or they have endured the abuse of childhood abuse from other people, of rejecting them for who they are, that they are trying to grasp that
Validation.
that
That's what I-
validation,
Mhm.
yeah, and also the validation of womanhood. You know, like in a way, like we want to be, recognized as women, like constantly in
Yeah.
a way, like because we ourselves are worried about not being accepted by society as
Yeah.
women. You know?
So then when you get this one person that's like giving you attention, it's kind of validating you, but at the same time, it's not giving you the validation that you would want. Like, let's go outdoors, let's go do something fun.
Yeah.
It's just mostly like indoors, and it's just mostly pure physical fun.
Exactly.
There's no really like emotional connection or like
Yeah. Or we'd like to believe that there is an emotional connection, but in reality, it's just the things that they say in the time when they're doing the act of having sex.
yeah,
with
they'll
someone.
say yes to you
Yeah.
just to like
They'll say, "I love you." Oh, I'll take you out.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see you with me.
Basically, make promises they can't keep
Exactly.
just to keep you around
Exactly.
and basically breadcrumb your ass.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the DL guys, what I've seen is that they don't like to be with someone when they're in the beginning stages of their transition. They just want the full, like they just want to kind of like a skip movie where they just cut off the middle and then just go to the end. They don't want to deal with the problems of actually that come with us, you know?
Right.
Because in a way, like when someone's transitioning, you as a person, also as the partner, you are also going with them in that journey.
Right.
You're also getting that, but also the same treatment that the other person's getting, but they don't want that. They want to still keep themselves in their comfort zone and
They want to hold on to
That
They want to hold on to that straightness.
Yeah.
that part I don't think is necessarily just like DL behavior. I think that is person to person basis. So you know how like everybody has like their own, I guess you could say, personal attraction or how can I put it? Personal attraction or just desires and everything like that.
Mhm.
So I think you got some people out there that are more open minded and willing to take the journey with their partner.
Yeah.
But then you got other people that are like, you know what? That's not who I'm attracted to. I want to be with someone who's more further in their transition or this and that, you know, and then that's kind of like the people that they tend to pursue.
Like,
Yeah.
I've had some, like, I've met certain guys, DL guys that were like, all like, besides the physical, we would connect in a emotional way, like we would have long conversations about our personal lives and stuff. But I feel like they themselves put the pressures of society that they have to like be a certain way because of like they're men and they can't be seen as weak, or they can't be seen as like they have to live up to these like expectations that they think that like society places on them.
That could be part of it too. It could be like you might have one guy that he may be attracted to trans women, but the earlier on her stage of transitioning, he might feel like he's getting closer to being kind of in the gay category because she might not be as feminine as he perceived that trans woman would be.
And that's understandable, at least from what I see, but I don't think it's understandable when they have sex with these women that are barely starting their transition, but they're not okay with meeting with them outside. That's what I don't understand. It's like you're okay with having sex with them. Like I would understand if you have a more of like, oh, maybe this is my attraction more towards women that are more in their transition. But if you're having sex with someone that's barely starting their transition and you're ashamed of being outside with them, then we say you just don't want to deal with the fact that someone will come out and tell you that, you know.
But I do notice
the fear of it.
I do notice that people always do stare, like people always judge, and that's the thing that you just kind of have to learn to brush off. But it's really difficult just because it's always like you know, like you're for some reason like people think that like we want attention, but it's like no, we're just trying to blend in, just want to be like regular people.
Yeah, but you got people out there that just have staring problems too. Like they'll just be out there and they'll just like stare, kind of like I guess like daring you to do something or say something. You know, like you got people that are just like that.
Yeah, and I think that they kind of feel that same pressure, but it's like they themselves feel what like trans people usually experience on an everyday basis of like judgment and stares, and they don't want to experience that because it's so foreign to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so tell us about your experience with like a DL guy then.
Well, there was one that like he did like we would go outside in public during the day and stuff, but it was mostly like not in the city that he lived in. So it was like in another city, and that's where he felt comfortable because he's like, I don't mind if they stare, but when I came down to his friends, he did care what his friends thought about him.
Yeah, it's always gonna be the case. You're always gonna have the people that are gonna care more about what their friends think than anything. And I mean, that's just something that they have to get over themselves. They have to realize, okay, if the friend is not gonna be there just because of who they date, that wasn't really their friend to begin with.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I would say in my experience, I did date someone in my beginning of my transition where we were friends. You know, I kind of wanted to have a relationship with him. But the first few days, you know, the first few weeks and months, like he just kind of went out in places outside of his city. So he felt more comfortable there. And I was wearing like at the time a wig. So he would tell me that, you know, he was embarrassed that I had a wig and that he was like, I wish you had done your hair better. Maybe you should have done your nails. And he would always suggest all these things that I guess are, you know, stereotypical
codes.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I wanted to, you know, become as passable as possible because I was very self-conscious about that because he made me feel self-conscious. But because he was DL in that sense, I didn't recognize it that he was DL because he would take me out on dates constantly. But I realized later, I was like, he is because he's never taken me to his family in the past 2 years. I've never met his friends.
For 2 years.
Yeah, he never took me to his family. I even asked him like, why can't I go to your house? And he said, oh, you can't because I have this and that. He would always create excuses, and I would be like, so where do you work? And he would always make excuses. And he would always like, it would be kind of like we were stuck in the level of just dating and just, you know, going out to places, but not necessarily going and visiting family or getting to know our friends. You know, it's like, he wanted me like later on once I had completed mostly my transition and have transitioned to where I am now, he noticed that like, oh, I can, like, you know, I can basically take this girl to my family. And he did take me to his family at some point. But later on, I was just kind of like wondering, like, why did he do that, you know? And later on, he explained it to me that he wasn't ready, that he actually tried to like just ignore me for the majority of the 2 years. And then, you know, later on he realized, oh, damn, you look good. So I want to keep you now. And that's why.
Yeah, that's not the
I
type
hate
of guy
men
that's
like
worth
that.
the time, no.
I'm going to tell y'all my experience. From 2 years ago, in 2020, mind you, like, although I'm passable now, I mean, I was passable 2 years ago, still, hell, even 3 years ago. So, mind you, me and this clown met in the end of 2019 when I broke up with my previous ex-boyfriend before him. And all of a sudden, he just disappears out of nowhere. Fast forward to 2020, I'm working at Amazon, trying to save up to get out of grandma's house, all that stuff, like hair growing out, boobs just, pow, you know. Yeah. Shit, a bitch working hard and making her money, you know?
Yeah.
Shit. All of a sudden, this fool comes along, like, there's my queen, blah, blah, blah. And we just basically connected again somewhat. And all of a sudden, the sweet talking, the flirting.
It's like something in their head just switches once they see the I guess the results.
You know how like a person is acting all sweet at first, like when you first meet them?
Yeah.
And then when you meet them in person, they're not who you thought they were.
Yeah. And also once you like, if it's just physical that they wanted and they perceive you in that manner and you give them like that physical aspect of yourself to them, they're kind of like sometimes like they just okay, I'm moving on to the next, or they change they're not like how they were, or like romantic and giving you like compliments and stuff, and it's now it's like you see the true self, their true self.
Which is pretty much what happened. He was basically a user. He even tried to put my health in danger and blame me on top of that. Like, you can't blame a person who's honest with you about any and everything. I'm an open and honest person. I ain't gonna put it out there unless I really like know you and trust you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for this person to hear everything that I've gone through and try to put me through that shit again, I was like, oh hell no, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I've experienced that a lot where they, you know, the chat will be like, before we meet, it will be like, oh, I mean, that be kind of like really interested in my interests, and the chat is going very well.
Yeah.
And then after we meet up, and you know,
Then it's a totally different person.
it's a different person, yeah. You
But
know.
there's more.
I mean,
I was like, here's the thing. He only introduced me to his mom once. We didn't speak or nothing.
Mhm.
The only time, like, the whole time I was seeing this person, we would be in hotel rooms or I'd be in the basement of his mother's house. Like, so I'm not good enough for you to be seen with in public and actually being treated like a human being and a decent person, but I'm good enough to take care of your broke bum ass.
See, that's not right.
No.
But he's on social media posting Bible scriptures, God this, God that, with his little cheap church suits on and all of that.
I would say that's probably red flag number 1.
Yeah, I think we mostly see the red flags.
I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah,
Because I didn't pay attention to that, and the reason why, like, I grew up in a Christian background.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some men that truly believe in God and do right by people.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some guys that will use God's name to justify their fuckery, their bullshit, and their evil ways.
Yeah, it's a protection way of
Like
hiding
if somebody told me about this dude, I would have never, ever given him the time of day.
Mhm.
Ever.
But question, do you guys think more of the DL activity comes from, say, social media, or do you think it happens more on the dating apps?
I think it's a society thing, and then they just apply it to the dating apps and social media, because I think that they have these pressures of society, and like the apps is an escape for them to be like find, because the internet's kind of helpful with us because we find our community from all over the world, and we can find people that we identify with and connect with. So these people go online too to find us, to try and connect with us, because they know that we in the internet we can find each other.
Yeah, very easily.
Yeah. But because society, the world, like out there, they don't, if you're past, they won't know. But if you're on online, they know. So that's how they perceive.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like I would say it's kind of the same, both like online and dating, like and dating apps as well. Just because you know, people always go into your DMs, they'll know who you are, what you stand for, and if they see that you're trans girl, they're into trans women, but they're not out of themselves, they'll definitely come and like sneak in either way, or they'll take advantage of the gay apps that some women are, trans women are there, you know, just because, you know, I personally used on the past Grindr. And the reason why people would always ask me, like, why didn't you just go to a bar and just like find someone there? I was like, it's not that easy, because like at a bar, I basically am vulnerable to a guy rejecting me in the worst way possible, where, you know, they're under the influence of alcohol.
You know how they're gonna react.
Yeah, and these are just regular, you know, sports bars, and you don't know how they're gonna be. Or especially in other states, like here in New York, maybe even maybe that can happen, right?
I've seen a lot of toxic masculinity in sports bars here, especially here.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, in New York City, I mean, it really depends on where you are. Because like
Exactly.
if you're in the heart of the city, not so much. But if you're on like the outskirts of the city, then yeah, you're taking risks.
yeah, exactly.
And
So
that's the
I,
thing, like I think that they just
Uh-huh.
let society influence their views
Yeah.
because they don't want to like go outside of what society says.
and that's when I think dating apps are easier, just because you already have it out there for them to
And
come
then
in.
yeah, and then most of the time that's how they know where to search. They know
Yeah.
where to go. Because
Mhm.
if they go out in the real world, they would have to go to like a place that's known to me.
To the community.
yeah.
And they don't want to be seen and going into like a rainbow flag place.
Yeah.
That, and a lot of people, the reason why they're DL is just because they're not ready. They're not ready to come out to accept what they want, or they're just like,
Afraid to say what this is what
Yeah.
I'm attracted to.
yeah. Some people will come out and accept it, but some people will go out there, explore their sexuality and their like desires, and they'll always keep on doing that for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been
But they'll have those homophobic and transphobic views.
Mhm.
Like you can't go out exploring and then you talking about, oh, you're still a man, or we're still having gay sex because you still have this and this and that and the other. Well, if that's how the fuck you feel, get the fuck out my face.
Well, I
What
think
you here
I
for?
think that's because
Bye.
they think that society
The fuck?
thinks like that. And I think because they think that society thinks like that, they're in their way, they're like, well, society says this, so I'm gonna side with society.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying like, I made a good connection with this person and I don't see them as trans. I don't see them for their body parts. I don't fetishize them. They're actually having a connection.
Mhm.
And so then they're really like more about the person, getting to know the person,
Mm-hmm.
than just the physical part. So, because I've had conversations with lots of guys, and they're like, "You're really funny. I like your interests. You have this going on." And then I'll do the same thing, like, "Oh, you're really interesting too. Like, I like that you're into this and this and that." And the conversation is good, but because they let the pressures of society, they don't want to like.
Mhm.
They don't want to be perceived they don't want it to be perceived as society.
Yeah. I definitely understand. Which is why, like, after my last relationship, I'm like, if you ain't openly trans amorous, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
Don't inbox me, don't message me, don't ask my number.
Mhm.
Leave me the fuck alone.
But I've also like informed guys that like, you can't really say that to
Mm,
the community. You can't say things like that. You can't approach people like that.
right.
And then they're like, "Oh, I didn't know." And I'm like, "Well, just so you know, this comes off as
Yeah.
offensive."
Mm,
So I kind of do inform guys. I'm like, you shouldn't be saying that.
And
right.
also, I always say like don't out BDL guys because they are there for a reason. Like they're trying to hide it for a reason, and we don't know what exactly that is. But just let them figure it out themselves. That's what I always think.
Yeah, that is
Well,
true.
don't
Shit, why you think I left my ex alone?
Yeah.
Instead of outing him, I just went on ahead and went on about my business.
Like, I'm not saying out them,
Like
but at the
Nikita
same
Dragon,
time,
she did it. Remember?
and Nikita Dragon's a fit though. But yeah, but the only thing is that, like there's gotta be something to stop the DL behavior. Because to be honest with you, the more DL people out there, the more a lot of the girls get killed because
Exactly.
they're not being killed by trans amorous guys. They're not being killed by trans attracted guys. They're being
They're
killed by
killed by DL
guys
men.
that are
Well, I
DL.
did
Yeah.
see. I don't know how long ago I did see a post, and people were trying to make a thing happen that is like cancel DL guys. Don't hook up with DL guys because
No.
they're not doing anything.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like saying like they were trying to. I forgot what the hashtag was,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but it was like no to DL or something, or say no. But it was they were trying to make it a movement.
It was like cancel DL guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm all for that because, like I said,
I am too.
like some people will argue and be like, "Oh, but there are trans women that were killed by guys that were in relationships with them." Like,
Yeah.
yes, that is
But
true.
but the relationship is secret.
Exactly, but that's the thing. Like, just because they were in a relationship doesn't mean that guy was 100% open with who he is.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of times he ends up killing the girl because he's afraid that she's gonna let somebody that he knows know what his attraction.
Yeah, and that's what I think. Like most of us should be doing that, like just ignoring them. Where if we know that they're clearly not into showing us into the light, well, we should just ignore them and not show them to our own personal circle.
Exactly.
But there are there's the other side where other trans women kind of like that just because, some of them are escorts and they think that there are a lot of DL guys and that kind of raises the bar of the costs and so forth. Why do you think a lot of them attacked Corey, which is, doing the podcast like to help, well, not podcast, the YouTube thing to help guys accept themselves and be more out there with their sexuality. A lot of them like were bashing on him just because they were saying, well, don't make everybody become comfortable with it because then our prices will go down.
So you're okay with
these girls? I don't.
that explains why so many of the girls in the community were attacking my brother Roy, because he's openly trans amorous and he's loud and proud about who he is and is encouraging DL men to come out.
Yeah. And
they basically look at it like he's fucking up their money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, if money is more important than your self-respect and your health, bitch, you crazy.
Or your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're also putting themselves in danger.
Exactly.
Yeah, like they don't know if this person, because I've met guys too that are DL, but their thing is to like cause harm, physical harm. They like aggressiveness and they like to be aggressive. And if you fight back because you're like, well, they're being aggressive, fight back, then that's when they get more aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Which is another reason why I walked away. Because I'm just like, look, I'm just going to walk away, leave this motherfucker alone. Because either he's going to try to do something to me or I'm going to do something to him.
Yeah. And you know what? I do find it weird when someone actually comes out, like, is accepting towards trans women, like trans amorous, and then they call them gay, but not the DL guy.
Right.
Isn't that crazy? Once they see you in the light, they're like, oh, even the trans girls kind of sometimes say that. And then like it's like what's so contradictory of what they're like. It's like what? Why don't you think the same thing about the DL guy? Because they think masculinity is based on like basically these traits of like secrecy and like these weird.
And not to mention, you got cis guys letting their cis wives or girlfriends screw them in the ass with a dildo.
Yeah, exactly, and that doesn't make.
But the problem, especially with DL guys in society, they focus so much on the sexual aspect when it comes to transgender women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to sleep with me, but
you don't want to get to know me.
You want to sleep with me, but in your eyes, I'm a man. First off, I'm not a man. Secondly, if you can't respect me as a woman, what the fuck you in my face for? Third, if you letting a cis woman fuck you in the ass with a motherfucking strap-on dildo, that's gay too. It don't matter if she got a coochie in between her legs.
Mm-hmm.
Gender and sex is not the same damn thing. And they gotta get out that mindset and unlearn that shit.
I like to say that love is love and sex is sex. Like,
Okay,
I don't say this is gay sex. I think we're just having sex.
Exactly. Sex is sex. It don't matter if it's just two men, two women, a trans woman, a cis man, trans man, cis woman. It don't fucking matter. What's in between the legs ain't shit.
Yeah. I mean, I would say some DL guys like it up the ass. And like that's okay. I think people should not think of like anal play as like gay or anything.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But that's how the DL men look at it though.
And that's the thing. I wish their wives could, put on a strap on once in a while and like stop for these guys so they don't bother me.
Have a communication. I think that when there's communication, that's what kind of lacks.
Yeah.
In these like situations that like there's no communication, like even like in the hetero world, what these men want from their wives, or what they don't have, or what they would want from them, they're not communicating that, so they're escaping into the internet world, finding what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like if there was open communication, real communication, like, hey, I've always wanted to explore this.
Right. Mm-hmm. But let an openly trans amorous man say that his preference are pre-op women, they will go ham they will literally go ham and drag his ass.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it. You're gonna drag a man who is transamorous, but you won't drag a dude that's DL, solely wanting you for your body parts instead of your heart, boo boo. If an openly transamorous man wants to date pre-op women, as long as he's getting to know her for who she is on the inside, so fucking what? Seriously, like, that just hurt my damn nerve.
But I feel like there's
And I gotta hold some of these girls accountable for doing this stupid shit because.
But I feel like this is always gonna exist. Like the element are always gonna exist because if we don't break the chains of like toxic masculinity, then there's no way of like the cycle to kind of
exactly that cycle got to be broken.
Yeah,
gotta be.
There's
because that's the only thing that we teach. Like if we're teaching hate to the younger generation, that's what all they're gonna know. It's just hate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna go slowly, but it's like, it's the same thing. It's like supply and demand.
I feel like it's like yin and yang. Like there's always gonna be good and evil.
Yeah.
Like there's never gonna be all good.
But I appreciate all of you giving your input. Yeah. And we will be back again hopefully next week with more from the House of Petty. And this one right here needs to move to New York.
Yeah, bring your ass, pack all your shit. Bring them on over here.
Yeah.
I know I do need. This is the city that is very like everything is here. Like the culture, the history.
Yeah.
The only thing that I wouldn't want to experience here is August weather.
Yeah.
The humidity. That's the only thing that I don't want to experience.
I hate humidity.
And then that. And
Take it from a black girl with curly hair.
Oh, and I want volume over here. My hair's so flat.
Like, if I had some type of keratin treatment that would literally fight the humidity, I'd be good. Heat protecting spray don't work for me because my shit will puff up in less than 2 days.
Yeah.
Hang on.
But
I'm
yeah.
glad that you're here, Alicia Petty.
But until next time, peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Stay petty.
Bye.